Hello, so I'm just going to make another quick video because I've got a lesson really soon, but I'm just going to do the same thing I did yesterday. I basically read out what I've written, and I've done a little bit more since and edited some things, so yeah, it's basically finished now though, so I'm just going to make a video about it, and then it's due tomorrow, and then I can listen to it tonight, so if anything, like, just seems off with it, I can sort of come back tomorrow morning and edit it a little bit more. And yeah, so okay, I'm just going to read it through, and that's basically it. I probably won't explain things too much because I just haven't got enough time, and now I'm rambling on. Okay, natural law is a religious ethical theory which attempts to explain morality. It is one of the 4 tiers of law: eternal law, divine law, natural law, and human law. The eternal law is what God determined to be good, and natural law is our means of accessing the eternal law. We use right reason and natural inclinations in order to be able to work out morality, what is good for humans. For this reason, natural law is positively comparable to Moore's intuitionism and Aquinas' synderesis. The latter is not surprising, seen as though Aquinas was a predominant thinker on natural law. He derived his theory from Aristotle's thinking on purpose, which is telos, and reason, which we use to reach a state of eudaimonia or human flourishing. This is the ultimate good. Although natural law is typically a religious theory, it can be used in a secular way due to the approaches Aristotle and Aquinas take to it. This makes natural law more helpful than divine command theory at working out morality, because it doesn't make us rely on a direct message from God. For example, an atheist is most likely going to reject the 10 Commandments because they reject the whole premise of God. However, they may be more accepting of natural law because it is a reason and instinctual based process. Atheists may reject the label of natural law due to the religious connotations, but they seem to accept the fact that there are certain moral guidelines that we have to abide by in order to make society function properly. So although they reject the label, they accept the concept which the label encompasses, which is essentially what the label is. For example, I could say that I'm not a vegan, but at the same time not consume meat, dairy or eggs. I reject the label, but embody the lifestyle. From this logic, we can derive that natural law is a helpful method of moral decision making because it is pragmatic due to its perhaps universal nature. We all have the ability to reason and we all have instincts, therefore we can all utilise natural law. But this is assuming that our instincts point us towards morality. Freud would argue that our inclination to do what is good is just the internalised ideals of our parents, and not necessarily an intrinsic God-given good. Assuming Freud is representative of all atheists, natural law would not be helpful for moral decision-making because it is essentially a social construct. However, this could just be unintentional semantics because it is apparent that good and bad exist in the world. I need a comma there. Okay, however, similar to synderesis, Aquinas assumes that people want to be and do good, and that we have a natural inclination to follow the synderesis rule, which is do good and avoid evil. This perhaps doesn't seem to be the case. It is apparent that when given the opportunity, people do evil things. For example, artist Marina Abramovic allowed the public to do whatever they want to her body over a period of 6 hours. She was both physically and sexually harassed over that time and lost her dignity. This is what can happen when we take away the rules. Natural law in and of itself relies on the individual to make their own moral decisions without the influence of external governance. Based on instances like this, we can see that people clearly need some sort of written legislation in order to keep themselves in check. So perhaps natural law alone is not such a helpful method of moral decision making. We also need legal incentives in order to govern our decision making. Perhaps natural law is a good moral theory for theistic individuals because they believe their actions are going to be judged by God on the day of judgment. So this is an incentive to abide by natural law by doing good and avoiding evil. However, contrary to my claim about natural law being atheistically applicable, perhaps it is not so much. As people, we need something above us to govern our behaviour. Without the human law in place, atheists especially wouldn't have an incentive to behave morally, so natural law alone is not a helpful method of moral decision making. We can't simply trust people to be left to their own devices. Natural law is too ideological in that it puts too much emphasis on the individual to make moral choices. I wrote that twice. It seems that Aquinas is too optimistic about the nature of humanity, perhaps due to his religious background. We could compare Aquinas' natural law to Mill's ideas on negative liberty. Individual autonomy should come before state intervention as long as no harm is being caused. The problem is people don't always want to do good, so this violates the harm principle and perhaps devaluates natural law. Full stop. Aquinas claimed that there shouldn't be contradiction between the natural law and the human law. However, there are examples such as Chinese laws which allow for poor working conditions and extremely low wages. Surely this is not a good law. Perhaps the natural law should be used to determine human law in all cases, and then the human law be used to govern our behaviour. In this case, rather than relying solely upon our own judgment to make the right decisions, we use the human law which is reflective of the natural law. So the natural law is helpful for making moral decisions, but not as a direct means of doing so. If it is the natural law which governs human law, then it is arguably a helpful method of moral decision making, just not as a direct method in and of itself. The human law is also necessary for governing our behaviours. Okay, overall we can see that natural law is a good moral guideline, but it is perhaps not helpful enough in that it relies on the individual to first accept God as a part of their ontology. If this isn't the case, then there is no incentive for the individual to behave. We need something superior to us which governs our behaviour, like human law for example, especially with the rise of secularization. Natural law seems outdated and not applicable to postmodern societies. Maybe ethical approaches such as situation ethics are more useful due to the ambiguous nature of society. As people, it seems that we need to be told what to do in some circumstances because we don't always want to do what is good. Rules are an inevitable part of evolution, and reason alone is not a strong enough moral guide. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wrote. There's some things that I came across along the way that I was like, I kind of want to change that. Like, in this last, in my conclusion here, I wrote that natural law isn't good enough in and of itself, like as an intrinsic phenomena almost, in that it doesn't necessarily help us to make moral decisions because we don't always want to do good. It's dependent on something else, and we've literally just learned something about this today, and I think it's called I can't remember. It's like a necessary something, and it basically means that it's necessary for the thing to work, but it doesn't work in and of itself. So it's necessary that natural law is a thing in order to make moral decisions, but it can't just exist by itself. It also has to coexist alongside human law, or alongside God, or alongside some other authority figure. So I can actually write about that now, and I'm gonna just end this video before I forget that. Okay, thanks for watching.